Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you know what this setting means. If there's no instrument, it means it's time for another Kellerman vlog. These are where I reread the murder mysteries by author Jonathan Kellerman, and we discuss them. Things I like, things I didn't like, questions I have for the author, the editor, other readers, etc. So, these are designed for people that have read the books. If you haven't read the books, there may be spoilers. In this case, the book is Motive. I'm going to give you a brief synopsis just in case you haven't read the book, but just keep in mind if you haven't read it, spoilers ahead. So, our main characters are LAPD detective Milo Sturgis, psychologist Alex Delaware. Milo's called in on a case that seems very straightforward. A young woman was murdered, her boyfriend had an anger issue, she was stabbed to death, and her boyfriend was a chef that was, a knife expert. So, seemed pretty open and shut until it turned out he had an airtight alibi. He was actually on TV on one of those Top Chef type shows at the time the murder happened. So it couldn't have been him. So that murder is considered unsolved. And then another murder pops up that seems to be unrelated, of a wealthy woman who co-owned a business with her ex-husband. And they, were recently divorced but remained amicable. And then it isn't until some days or weeks after her murder that the two tie together, because at her home, some days after she was murdered, someone prepared a meal and left it on the table. And it turns out that had happened with the first murder as well. Turns out that's this guy's calling card. When he kills somebody, he leaves a meal on the table. And so then they started looking for other examples of murders where a meal was left behind. And they all kind of tie in together. And that's as much as I can say without giving too much away. So I said, closing out my last vlog, that this book was a very interesting story. And it is. I really like how the story weaves. It starts out obvious. We think the chef, killed his girlfriend. Turns out that's not the case. Takes us completely away from that case, back to it, and then I won't give away how, but the ending of the book involves the chef again, who we know is not the killer, but it all ties back to him. And it's a very, it's a very interesting story where you go here and then you go back and then you go here and then it's, very little about the story is expected and predictable, and I like that. We've talked before that Kellerman's primary strength as a writer is the characters, and then his second strength is probably the setting. And the story is often a distant third. A lot of times his stories are predictable. In this case, it's not predictable. The story is really interesting in addition to the characters. I only have 2 notes for this book, so this should be a very short vlog. First note is, once again, Kellerman uses the phrase rap thug in a derogatory context, which makes me think one of 2 things, neither of which is good. Either Kellerman's a little bit of a racist, and there's definitely some other areas in his writing where he struggles with writing for black people, or he just really hates hip-hop. Either way, those are not great. And I guess it's not surprising that a aging boomer Jewish white guy would hate either hip-hop or have disdain for black people, or both, but it's still disappointing to me. So that's the first note. The second note is quite a bit of a spoiler. Meredith being a no-call, no-show for her job seems like really thin filler to a big story hole at the end. She does not seem like the kind of person who would just go away on a vacation and not even tell her job. I mean, what's she expecting, to come back and have no job? And if I remember correctly, the vacation she took with an orthodontist, and it was spur of the moment, and they both went off. Did he not tell his patients? Like, did they both just completely say fuck their jobs and fly off into the sunset, which goes completely against what little we know of her character? It would have been so easy just to place a call and say, hey, I'm not coming into work. I know that for the end of the book we had to think that something happened to her, but there's any number of other ways that could have happened, that seemed like a really, I gotta close out this story here with Mary. And why didn't she show up for work? Oh, she took a vacation and just decided not to call her job. So, yeah, that really bothers me. Okay, those are the only 2 notes I have for this book. which I guess in terms of this set of Kellerman books is a good thing because a lot of my notes are critical. Although it seems like the books that I like the most, I also seem to have the most notes for. This one's kind of an exception, though. I like this book, and I have a lot of notes for it. There are very few notes for it. So, yeah. The next book is The Murderer's Daughter, which is it's a non-series book. It takes place in the Alex and Milo universe, but it does not involve them. And it's probably the least favored Kellerman book among his fans, except for maybe The Web, which is the one that I skip. A lot of people don't like The Murderer's Daughter. I like it, but I do have a lot of criticisms. So we're going to get to that one next. So please join me on that vlog as well. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this, and thanks for watching, and see you soon.